Hello and welcome to a new episode of In Mint Condition, the Stovall Brothers podcast that covers comics, movies, and TV shows and more. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm your boy, Mo.
And we are excited to get into this episode today.
Welcome
As
back.
promised, I said we'd be doing an animation topic. And lo and behold, I forgot when we recorded last week that Invincible was going to be out this week. So we're going to be covering that as our main topic today, but we'll also be covering a little bit of news that came out.
We'll also be talking a little bit about our thoughts on the latest episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And we'll be covering our thoughts on the Suicide Squad trailer. So first off, DC has announced Emerald Fennell, the director of Promising Young Woman, will be writing the Zatanna film. So, I haven't seen Promising Young Woman, but everybody else is excited about it, so it seems like the movie's going to be in good hands.
We'll have to see when it comes out. Because I've never seen a live-action Zatanna.
Yes, you have.
Oh, that's right. That's crazy. I forgot.
We're referring to Smallville.
Yeah. I forgot she was on that.
And she was Medusa in the Inhumans show.
I forgot that.
I watched the first episode of Inhumans. It sucks. We're not going to talk about it here.
We won't talk about that on the show.
I refuse to watch through that.
I completely forgot.
Yeah.
They did that. I have to rewatch Smallville.
They had everybody in Smallville except
They really,
Batman.
everybody but Batman. Man.
But yeah, I'm excited.
It'll be nice to see her in live action.
They keep talking about a Justice League Dark movie, but I doubt that's gonna happen. And we're not gonna talk about the Snyder fans. Enough of Snyder. We're moving on. DC also announced that Pierce Brosnan is gonna be Dr. Fate in Black Adam.
Yeah,
so that's rounded out their JSA characters that are gonna be appearing in the film.
So what they have, Hawkman.
Alden.
I can't remember his name, but he was the guy on First Class.
What? No, he wasn't. Aldous Hodge.
That's not him?
No.
You're lying to me.
I'm telling you the truth.
Show me that picture. That looks just like him.
No, it doesn't.
It looks like he grew up. You can't tell me that don't look like a grown-up version of old boy.
Oh my God. This dude is crazy.
Never mind.
We've got Adam Smasher cast.
This is gonna be a great movie.
Cyclone. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good.
But yeah, so Pierce Brosnan will be joining them.
How do you think he'll do as Dr. Fate?
I think he'll be fine. I didn't really have anybody in mind. I would have cast a black guy or an Arab guy, but alas. Moving right along, Suicide Squad got his first trailer, and it looks great.
What do you think it's going to be like compared to the David Ayer?
Better.
It does look really good, though. It looks like it's going to be funny. I'm interested to see the story in this story.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're going to be too much like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
It has some shades of it, but I think that's just James Gunn's his aesthetic, his voice coming through. I don't think it's necessarily him saying, now I'm going to make the DC versions of Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's just his style, his voice coming to the project. I think this is going to lean into the comics. He had John Ostrander in a cameo role in the trailer. John Ostrander was the creator of the modern incarnation of the Suicide Squad. So Amanda Waller going to get the villains to reduce their sentences. That idea came from John Ostrander. The Suicide Squad had existed before, and they were like a military covert ops group that would handle missions that were more dangerous, that didn't have a high percentage of victory. But when John Ostrander got the title, he used it and bought this idea of the villains getting time off for good behavior for working with the squad and with Amanda Waller. So I think they'll be leaning into that story, into that tone. I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
it looks good. I can't believe they got Starro.
It'll be really interesting to see this. See how this plays out.
I'm wondering if Starro's gonna cause them to fall into that same pitfall of having a villain that was too big.
That David Ayer had. Yeah. That's what, when I was watching the trailer, they were like, we have a kaiju. I was like, again? That feels more something that like the Justice League or like a superhero
Starro
should have,
was
though.
the first, in the first comics appearance, not the first chronological appearance of the League, but the first publication, he was the Justice League villain.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We're going to see.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
I'm excited. If anybody's going to be able to handle it, it's going to be James Gunn. But yeah, it looks good. Looks interesting. I'm definitely excited to see how they do that.
All right, moving right along.
All right, Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2 dropped this Friday. What'd you think?
I liked it. I liked that we finally got to see Sam and Bucky interacting with each other. And we got to see like Bucky's reaction to Sam giving up the shield. And then later on in the episode, spoilers, by the way. I'll drop that now.
Okay, yeah, right now, spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, spoilers for the Invincible comic, spoilers for the Invincible TV series.
All right. But we get to see, you know, Bucky's like, I'd say internal fight with Sam giving up the shield when he was like, he gave you the shield because he thought you were a good man. If he's wrong about you, then he's wrong about me. And so we see it's more than just him being mad about Sam giving the shield back to the government, which I thought was a brilliant, you know, turn in the story. But and then U.S. Agent, I don't like him at all. And the way Sam and Bucky were interacting with him, I thought was absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah, great character moments in this episode.
Oh yeah,
I think if this is what I was expecting in episode 1. And like I said last week, episode 1 was still very well done.
Yeah.
It just felt like the first part of the first act of a Marvel movie. This feels like the second half of that first arc, or that first act.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep pushing it along. We got some more action sequences.
Mm-hmm.
This better than the first one. So if they keep ramping up like this, we're in for a very good mini-series. I don't know if this is going to get a season 2.
Yeah, I was going to say hopefully it does, but I think I would prefer a movie.
Give Sam a Captain America movie.
Yeah, but again, we'll see what happens. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, the there was a meme that went out. There's somebody made an article about how Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to introduce, I think they said the X-Men again. And they were like, y'all didn't learn your lesson with WandaVision. So I'm sure they're going to be more butthurt fans. And I like one.
They took the scene from this episode where not Wyatt Russell, the character, John Walker, yeah. His token black friend, went to him and said, "They're going to love you." They took Cap from Endgame.
No, I don't think I will. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh man, Wyatt Russell and his daddy, they just tearing the MCU to shreds.
Man, it's just,
and they deal with race very well.
They really do. I got goosebumps from this movie like I did when I watched, not the same as when I watched Black Klansman, but I was like, man, they're going like straight into it. Like it was brilliantly done, I gotta say.
They're not pulling punches.
They're really not.
It's a day in the life for Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And
they called him the N-word. Those cops, man, it was crazy.
They're handling it very well.
They are, yeah.
When they flesh out more of John Walker's character and we see more of who he is, if they keep him in line with his comic interpretation, then it's just going to open up more and more opportunities for race and race relations to be discussed. So I'm very excited with what they're doing. Okay.
Moving along.
So, like we supposed to be doing weekly, but the past couple of weeks have derailed us a little bit. We have a comic for today that we will be reviewing and giving our thoughts about. And that comic is going to be
Invincible.
Invincible. Specifically, the first issue. Invincible #1 came out in January 2003. So it's a very old comic. It had a run of, I think, about 150 issues. It might have just been a little bit shy of that. And so it's written by Robert Kirkman. The main artist is Ryan Ottley. Corey Walker is one of the other artists, though. He was the artist that started the series. Ryan Ottley came on and did most of the issues after that. But Corey Walker also provided cover art. He did inking. So those were the main creatives behind the story. Robert Kirkman is also the creator of The Walking Dead. Which, God, will they end it? What'd you think of the first issue? You read the first two, didn't you?
Yeah, I read through the first two, and when I was reading the first issue, I realized I had read it before years ago. I can't remember what I got it for, but I think I saw it, was like, oh, this looks cool, and I got it from Fun for All. I think this was back at their old location before
In
they
the
moved.
plaza.
The plaza. It was really nice. I think it was a great introduction to this new hero, and they really jumped into his story becoming a hero. Like, they didn't waste any time, and I like that.
It's quick. His dad is Omni-Man, one of the Earth's greatest superheroes. His mom is just a regular human, but the super heroics is ingrained in their lives. It's normal. It's expected. He wakes up in the morning. Oh, Dad's not here. What is he doing? He's off saving the world. They click on the TV. They see him fighting a giant monster. And so as the book continues opening up, we see him discover his power when he flings a bag of trash into space. And he's like, oh, finally. Yeah. And then he sits down for dinner. He's like, guys, I finally got my power. And they're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah. Anyway. And then from there, he's honing his powers. He's practicing. He's training. He makes a makeshift costume so people won't recognize him while he's practicing. And then his dad takes him and he gets his name from standing up to a bully. Yeah. He gets his name, though. He gets his costume. He suits up. And he's ready to fight bad guys at the end of the issue.
Yeah, it was I like that, because I don't like when, like, superhero stories take the time, like, oh, this is their everyday life.
It depends. I think that works.
I mean, if it's done right, it's enjoyable. But
for what this was introducing a whole new character to the world. This is an Image Comics imprint. So for people that don't know, that's Image Comics was created by a group of Marvel artists and I think writers as well. But it was spearheaded by the artists who were sick of getting treated like crap. And so they left Marvel in the 90s, formed their own group, which became Image. And it's all about publishing your work and owning your own intellectual property. So this is the whole new introduction to a brand new hero. So you have to dive right into it. There's no time to mess around and just do whatever. You have to get into it. And he handled it very well. And as the series progresses, then you get slower moments. You get more in-depth into what his personality is like, into what his life is like. Yeah. And Kirkman handles it really well. The artwork was spectacular. It pops. It has the classic or not the classic, but the modern superhero look. If you look at the comics, I think I mentioned this last week. There's, a push in comics to try to look like Jim Lee, to try to have this one uniform style.
Mm-hmm.
There are still artists that are like, no, I'll draw it the way I draw it. But there's ways that they try to push artists into having this particular style.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's even schools that teach you this is how you draw this method, this is how you draw this method. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this is still, while it has that feel of the modern look, it still feels like its own thing. Mm-hmm. It's unique enough, the way they're drawing the eyes, the way they're drawing the physiques. You're like, okay, this isn't quite DC, this isn't quite Marvel.
Yeah.
And it looks like an independent comic. And I don't mean that as a bad thing.
He's throwing shade. He's like, oh, you little independent comic.
I don't mean that as a bad thing. That's a good thing, because it doesn't have the look of
the mainstream
comics. In terms of, there's a particular kind of sheen that you get when you pick up a DC or a Marvel comic. And this doesn't quite have that. Not in this first issue. This first issue has it's sleek. It looks great, and it still feels like those other comics, but it's also very much not.
Yeah.
And part of that is the design of the superhero outfits. They're very unique. You get elements of Superman here and there, but when you look at Omni-Man, you're like, okay, I've never seen him before. When you look at Invincible's costume, it's like, okay, I've never seen this before.
No, Mr. Incredible. No, The Incredibles. I've seen that before. Oh, God. No, his costume does. It's a eye, basically, down. I mean, it has other colors, but it's like a yellow eye going down his torso and the little dot up around his neck. So whenever I see that, I'm like, oh, that's The Incredibles.
Well, even then, The Incredibles is just a
there's
circle
just on the chest, but yeah,
on the pecs.
Yeah.
His is it covers his whole torso. His neck makes up the dot over the eye. Mm-hmm. So it's very unique. It looks very good. And if you read further into the series, good Lord, this series is insane. When you get later down in the arcs, he's in space. He hasn't been on Earth in years. And then he ends up coming back to Earth, finding out things aren't great. Mm-hmm. It's an epic. And like I said, you get about 150 issues. And the way it ends, I felt that it ended very well. Tied up all the loose ends. And yeah, if you haven't read Invincible, definitely check it out. What would you rate it out of 10?
Wow, out of 10. We're talking about the series or the first issue?
First issue.
We kind of went on a little tangent there. First issue, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It was pretty good.
I'd probably go 8.5.
Oh, okay.
This is one of the best intros to a hero you can get.
Yeah, it was really great.
It has a lot of action. The story is very fast-paced, and you're not burdened down with mythology yet. Issue 2, they get into some of the backstory and more of the world, but this first issue is made to grab your attention. It's made to get you in, and each panel is used to make sure there's no wasted space, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Each panel is used to the utmost, and the artwork is fantastic. The writing's fantastic. Definitely check it out if you're interested.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to our main topic, Invincible, the animated series, premiered on Amazon Prime this Friday. It stars, let me pull up the cast. As Omni-Man, we have Jimmins, Kimmins, Simmons.
Jeez. We figured that name is better for him than his government name.
That's his name. J.K. Simmons. The name is Jimmins, Kimmins, Simmons. Stephen Yen as Invincible. Seth Rogen as Alan the Alien. Mark Hamill as Art. Zazie Beetz as Amber, Gillian Jacobs as Adam Eve, Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson, that's Mark's Invincible's mom. Walton Goggins is Cecil. Jason Mantzoukas is Rex Splode. And the cast goes on and on. Of course, you're seeing Kevin Michael Richardson in this. Carrie Payton, of course. All of the typical
Cyborg.
voice actors, they're in this.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, everybody. So the first 3 episodes were released Friday, and I think from here on out it's just going to be one a week. What did you think?
Man,
Spoilers all the way.
this was really good. They jumped right into it, I gotta say. I think the first, I don't know how long it was where those 2 guards were, talking. I felt that was unnecessary, at least for as long as it went.
I think it's going to play out longer in the terms of the series because we see those characters come back in one of the later episodes.
Yeah.
So I think they're planning something that we just can't see yet, and we're gonna have to sit and go through each episode until they hit us with whatever they're planning for those characters. I'm assuming it's gonna be a human emotional impact that these characters are going to have for the series as a whole, which is very superhero heavy. The first episode jumps off with it follows it follows the first issue very closely, but there are some stark differences. Amber is introduced right along.
Yeah.
And these adaptations are for the show. You're not going to be able to just do a directed adaptation. Neither should you. I don't think direct adaptations are really the best way to go.
I only want direct, word for word, page for page.
Because, I mean, for certain things, it's it works. But
yeah,
for the most part, it's not. It's not going to work
agree.
out. But so the decisions they make to change things are for this medium. They're bringing the characters and the story into a new medium, and the changes have to be made. Like I said, Amber is introduced within the first maybe 15 minutes of the series. In the comics, she doesn't come along for a couple issues after the origin. So you have that. You have his initial conflict with the bully in the comics. The bully's picking on a kid, and Mark's like, stop.
Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. And then he roughs him up. In the show, though, it's Amber that he's standing up for. And so you have all these... so you have changes like that. The biggest change to me was that Omni-Man is not hiding that he is...
crazy.
He is a jerk. I was going to say a different word.
We'd get canceled.
But my mom is listening. We can't have that.
No.
We can't have that.
Mama, I love you.
But yeah, to me that was the biggest difference because as soon as Mark's like, I have superpowers, his dad is like, all right, I'm about to ruin your life. And he's very rough with Mark. Mark Grayson is Invincible's name. I don't know if we've established that.
I don't think we did.
I'm sure you all picked it up in the context clues. You're all capable people.
In which case, we'll hold your hand through this until next week's episode. In which case, you're not caught on by then.
But Mark Grayson, he gets his powers, and his dad is like, I'm going to break you.
Yeah,
he's rough with him. He's not patient. He's not caring.
Reminded me of my father.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, Omni-Man they were doing their flying practice, or was it flying practice? Yeah,
it turned into
them
battle fighting practice, and he just
knocked the wind out of him. He's like,
he snuck him.
Why would you do that? Gonna kick your ass. Man, no, he was like, oh, at first he was like, I didn't mean to hit you that hard, and then he just changed it completely. He's like, well, when you're in this line of work, you gotta take the punches.
And so that's a stark contrast to his personification in the comics. And you realize why they do it. It's because Omni-Man is not a good person.
Yeah,
he's one of the villains of the series, and they reveal that at the end of the first episode. The Guardians of the Globe, which is this universe's Justice League.
That was the first episode, wasn't it?
Yep.
Dang.
In the comics, they get at least
it was at least like episode 9 or episode
9 or 10
issue 9, I think.
Issues. We're gonna be spoiling. I'm not gonna spoil too much of the comic. I'll spoil everything that they've shown in the episodes. So if you're planning on reading the comics, why would you watch the show? But everything that I spoil will be from the show, because you haven't read the full series.
I haven't read it.
I have. When they announced I think in like 2018 they announced the series. But it was around that time, 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
I went and I got the full series, read through it all in like a month. And probably less than that. It's really easy to read through.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to spoil plot points from the comics until they've been revealed in the show. But in the comics,
so you get to reading.
You get 9-10 issues in, and then Omni-Man's like, okay, let's end this.
Yeah.
And when he kills the Guardians in the comic, everybody gets one panel. And it's just like dead.
In the show,
they put up a little bit of a fight.
It was crazy.
What was your reaction to that?
Man, I didn't know that they were going to drop him like that. They were just like, oh, like everybody came back to the headquarters. They were like, why'd you call us in? He was like, I didn't. And they just, bow, just like, he just came in, and they like went to like, the way they played it out made it feel like maybe they might, some of them might survive this, like maybe one or two might get away, but no, it threw me off, actually. I'm not going to lie.
It was a huge shock. James, who worked at the comic book shop when we first started going, when I first started reading the series, he told me, wait till you get to about issue 13 or 14, then you're going to see what the series is really about.
Yeah.
And so when I read that, I was like, what?
Why?
and then when they revealed Omni-Man's master plan, oh, y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. But yeah, the way the show handled it, good Lord. They tried. It's a little more sad the way the show handled it, because it's like, oh,
yeah, the comic,
you got it.
That's what I'm saying. The comic, keep your head above the water.
You got this.
No, the comic, it was quick. I think like one page total showed all them down. And maybe it's like a couple.
You get two because the Immortal has a couple more panels. Yeah. Everybody else just gets one.
But the show is like, it was like, man, like are y'all gonna help me? Like when they killed the Red Rush. I couldn't remember what it was. Red Rush, like he was just like squeezing his skull. I'm like, can y'all like stop this from happening? Y'all just looking.
Hey, somebody please.
No, it was like that. Like I said, it made you feel like, oh, they can survive this, and then like nah, he got him.
And so yeah, that happens in the first episode. Mark's origin is pretty much the same, though. Like I said, instead of him training himself, his dad's training him, being a butthead about it.
Because I think in the show, when he's like flying around with his costume, he like just got his powers like a few days, or like the day before or something like that. But in the comic, when the scene that they show in the show, his dad's like, "What do you look ridiculous, like wearing your pajamas or whatever." He was like, "Oh, I've been practicing or wearing it for like 2 weeks, or whatever." So like it showed like, or the comic showed like he's been practicing, but in the show, he's like trying to just jump into it.
These first 3 episodes, they're about 40 minutes each.
Yeah,
they cover aspects of the comics from, like I said, the first maybe 10 issues. And so yeah, when he's in that prototype costume that he makes, he's very in the show, his dad is like, what are what are you doing? You need a costume. And Mark is wearing the costume intending to go fight crime in the
Yeah.
comic. It's intention. He's just like, no, this is what I wear to conceal my identity while I'm practicing. I saw these guys and I just said, well, might as well. So moving into into the next two episodes, we're introduced to the teen team, which is the basically Teen Titans of the universe. They're Robot, Adam, Eve, Rexplode, and Duplicate. They're a fun group in the comics. He's introduced to them before the Guardians of the Globe die. Mark is.
Yeah.
And he interacts with them. In the show, they handled it pretty well. One thing that I think is interesting about the show is that Mark is very inexperienced, and it shows.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, oof. It's kind of irritating, but I think part of that is I've read through the full series, so I've seen what he's capable of.
Yeah.
But I think that the show definitely scales down his ability.
Well, again, I think they changed the amount of time he's toning his abilities, which, we'll see if that pays off later in the show, if that's the way to go or not. But
he's gonna have to get a lot better, a lot quicker. But I mean, in the comics too, though, it wasn't like he's immediately bam, strongest guy ever.
That's why
he has to work towards it. But
yeah,
they don't. They're not sidelining him or diminishing some of his abilities like they are in the show. So it's a different angle. They're trying to give him more of a story arc, I think, and coming into his own superhero.
Yeah, no, but the show was really good. I gotta say, it was definitely enjoyable.
They're burning through that. Like, we got the Alan the Alien story in, I think, episode 2, maybe 3.
I think it was 3.
Okay.
Cause his dad was home by 3.
So that's issue 5. So they're condensing everything. I think, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think by the end of the series, we're gonna see, or by the end of this season, we're gonna see his dad's master plan revealed, and I think he's gonna have to fight his dad twice in this first season. That's my guess, and that's very vague because, again, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone reading the comics. If you haven't read the comics or watched the show, we gave you the spoiler warning, but I'm still gonna try to maintain for especially for people who are just watching the show and don't want something in the show spoiled. Because like I said, this guy, his reaction to the Guardians dying, I was like,
What was your reaction when you saw it? Because it's further on in the.
I figured we were gonna see it pretty soon.
Okay.
I don't. As soon as they started calling him, I was like, I'm like, here it comes. I'm like, we're doing this now. Oh man, they're not ready. Somebody call them. Warn them. War Woman, get out of there. I think it's interesting they didn't show War Woman's sexuality in the series. 'Cause she's a lesbian in the comics.
I mean, they kind of hinted at it, but
did they?
Kinda. Maybe.
I didn't really feel it. They've leaned into Mark's best friend being gay. Which in the comics, again, this was 2003, so there's a lot of there's homophobia in it. It's not overt like, oh, those F words and all that, but it's present, and you're like, oof, we would not get away with this today.
Yeah.
But like I said, War Woman is a lesbian in the comics, and so it's present. And I think it's not. I think it's more a commentary on it because his friend has to embrace his sexuality as the comics go on. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting to not highlight that aspect of War Woman's personality and her identity. Because in the comics, when they get the call, I'm pretty sure she's at home with her partner.
Yeah.
In the show, they change it to her being at her job. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, like after because I read the first two issues, and I was like, skipping through to see how far the show went. Because I was like, oh, this is like not where the show, So I was like skipping through to see, and like, so when I got to the part where they were calling them all to the place, part of me thought like, oh, girl, she was with when she left in the show was her partner.
I mean,
and that could be it. I have no idea.
Since I read the comic, I was like, is that supposed to be her partner? Mm-hmm. But if you haven't read the comic, if you don't know that's who she is, then you don't.
You don't know.
You don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it's saying. I just think it's interesting.
I'll give that to you, yeah.
The action in this show is awesome.
Oh, they did really good.
They scale back so many people's powers, and they have so many people just get
mollywop.
They just John. These guys don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
But I think it's really the younger heroes that it's happening to. So I think we're going to be on an arc of coming into their own, and they're embracing who they are. But good Lord.
I thought,
put up a fight. Keep your block up. Keep your hands up. Hands up.
I thought it was funny, the alien invasion. Like,
oh my god.
Not the invasion itself, because that was awful. That like
they kept coming back.
But I just thought it was funny that the leader always came back like different. Like he was always more busted up every time. And like the last time he came, he was like half robotic or whatever. But no, when Omni-Man, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and you see, and the last time they show up, Omni-Man's like, okay, let me show y'all how it's done. And he just tears through the army that's on Earth. They go to retreat. He grabs the leader, follows them through their portal, and then he just extinguishes their world.
Yeah, it was. They really. The show is not hiding Omni-Man's an awful human, not an awful person. He's not a human being. Yeah, he's just awful. He like went through the portal and was like, "Earth is yours to conquer," and then just like flew through all the buildings, destroyed everything, like, and then left through another portal and dropped like a meteor on the rest of the planet. Like, dude.
Yeah, this show is, and I don't know. I think it would have been interesting, but I don't think that's what the show was going for. But I think it would have been interesting to have like a mystery angle where the Guardians are murdered in that first episode, but you're not sure.
You don't know who did it, yeah.
And then, have Omni-Man be a nice family guy. He's a nice dad. He's caring. He's loving. In this, he's none of those things. And you know that, like I said, in the first episode, we know he's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. We know he's not nice to Mark in the first episode. So when we get to his big reveal of what his master plan is, it's not going to be shocking. It's not going to be like, what? It's
going to be like, oh, so that's what he was
doing. You're going to be like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This fits his character. You're not going to get the twist that you got in the comic, where it was like, why would you do this?
Why?
Please.
Yeah, no, that's... Now that you say that, I think it probably would have been more interesting if they played that, like, oh, this is the good guy. He's the Superman of the universe.
Literally, he's supposed to be the shining beacon of hope. When he interacts with Mark, it's like, aw. This is a good father. He cares about his son. And then, so when you get that turn, you're like, oh,
what is this?
When he turns in the show,
haberdasheries and hemoglobin. What in the haberdasheries and hemoglobin is going on here?
Shout out to Tony.
To Tony Baker,
yeah. But when you get the turn in the series, it's just gonna be like, okay, because it's not gonna really be a turn. It's just gonna be more of who he is.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, like, and you could have even done the alien invasion angle where he's like, okay, I'm going to handle this. And then he's gone. You don't show what he did to the world. He comes back and he's like, it's all good now. Because I think that's how they handled it in the comic.
Yeah, in the comic, he gave an excuse that he was like trapped or something like that. I can't remember exactly word for word what it was. But it was like 8 months. He was like, "Oh, I was trapped for 8 months." You know,
Because
fighting.
time moves different in that
And
universe, in that dimension.
Yeah, it's what faster.
It moves faster there. So when the aliens come through to our dimension, they age super quickly because our time stream
Is slower.
Yeah, so their biology is used to time moving quick. So when they get into a dimension that's slower, it advances their aging process.
Yeah, no, it was the show was really good.
The show is great though.
I gotta say.
I mean, and some of the critiques that I have are just, oh, in the comics.
every comic book fan
And
watching something.
I think it's not. I mean, I think they're valid criticisms.
Yeah.
If you're adapting something, it's gonna get compared to it. That's and there's nothing wrong with comparing an adaptation to its source.
Yeah.
But I think part of it, I'm still giving the show a chance. I still absolutely enjoyed it. I love it. But I'm aware that they're going for something different here. I'm just interested to what they're gonna do, and we're just gonna have to wait it out to see, because it's already we're not getting the same beats anymore because Omni-Man is a bad guy already.
Yeah.
Omni-Man is already this villainous character, so it's not like when you read the comic and you're like, what? And you're blindsided by it. You get it.
That kind of clashes in the show because you still see him doing like cute things. Like when he got back from fighting that monster, he had that piece of meat from the monster. He like threw it on the kitchen table. Was like, "Oh, make this for dinner." You know, joking around with his wife. Like you still see that, so it's kind of like a contrast. Like, so is he nice? Is he this awful?
No, that's a facade.
Yeah.
In the comic, you don't realize that's a facade until, like I said, until you get the turn, until he kills the Guardians, and that's issues in comics time. That's about half a year, maybe 3/4 of a year that you've sat with these characters and you've learned who they are. You've embraced this status quo. Because depending on which issue it falls in, it might have even been a full year. But then you get that turn, then the world upends, and it's a whole new dynamic, and you realize Omni-Man isn't who he said he was. In the show tells you right from the jump, Omni-Man is not who he says he is. I don't think that's bad. It's just a different interpretation. Well, which one is better is the question we're going to have to find out at the end of the series. Do you have any other thoughts?
I look forward to seeing what they do with the show.
Wow. So brave.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I hate it now.
After you said all these things about it, it's an awful show. They shouldn't have made it.
No, it's a great show. The voice acting is really good. A lot of times when you get established real, I was going to say real world actors, but that's not the term. Live action actors. They don't translate well to animation, as evidenced in The Lion King from 2019. But other times, when you get live action actors and bring them into animation, it works out well, like in the original Lion King. And in this version, it works out as well. But Jake Kim Simmons was Tenzin in Legend of Korra. He's done a ton of animation work, and he's very good at it. So he's just in his bag. And then all the new actors that they've brought on that I haven't heard in animation before, they're handling it very well. I think their voice director is doing a great job.
They did make me happy to hear Mark Hamill, though.
Mark Hamill.
He is the GOAT
is in this.
of voice acting.
He plays Art though, which I was like, huh, this is what we're gonna. Okay, it's not a waste by any means.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you get to hear Mark Hamill's voice,
It's always incredible.
It's a great joy. So, but it was. I was like, oh, this is okay, and it works. It works 100%.
Yeah.
Him as Art. Art is the costume designer for the superheroes, and it absolutely works. So yeah, I would definitely suggest if you're looking for some adult animation, and I'm not talking about porn.
Oh boy! Oh gosh!
I'm talking about.
He's recommending you.
I mean, animation made for adult audiences.
Don't listen to his recommendation, y'all.
If you're looking for a superhero show that is animated and is made for adults, this is definitely one of the top tier ones you're gonna find. That being said,
if you want to be spicy, let your kids watch it too.
Stop being so classist about animation. It's for kids. Shut up. If it's good, it's good. I'm sick of people talking bad about animation. Oh, it's not this. Shut up. Shut up.
You gonna play this for Sunday school, Justin? Let's watch Invincible, kids.
No, on a serious note, if you don't like animation because it's childish, quote unquote, then you can go die in a ditch. I don't care. Screw you. Animation is a beautiful medium.
Shout out to the Teen Titans Go haters.
Animation is fantastic, and the greatest show of all time is Avatar: The Last Airbender. The second greatest is Batman the Animated Series, and I'm not sitting here arguing with y'all. Sopranos, whatever, it ended bad.
Dog.
The Wire, screw you and The Wire. I don't care. I do not care. Animation is the superior medium, whether it's made for children or adults. And that's that. That is the official stance of this podcast.
I mean, because I feel like you can do more with animation than live action.
You can do way more. And you can have it's just, everything looks so much better in animation. 3D or 2D, which me personally, I prefer hand-drawn. But 3D animation does spectacular stuff. When you look at the water animation in Moana, what compares? What live-action movie did water better than Moana?
Aquaman.
Let's talk about Aquaman. Aquaman is the best DCE. No, it's not. Aquaman is a B-, maybe a C+.
Justin hates the oceans. He thinks we should be a full land planet.
Aquaman was fine. It wasn't a great movie, though.
It wasn't the best DC movie.
People would say, oh, Shazam was bad because it was more
Shazam was
kid-like.
great.
Shazam, see, the problem is that people don't respect children or art made for children. Art made for children is just as valid and just as powerful as any other type of art. You
Shazam
can tell
was
them I
fantastic.
said it.
Like, honestly, Shazam was so good. It's
Best
I'd say
DCEU movies. Wonder Woman,
then
Shazam.
definitely.
Everything else is garbage.
Dang, it's not garbage. All right. Now we're disagreeing a little bit there. It's not garbage. You know.
I don't even believe that.
I mean, Wonder Woman 84, garbage.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, garbage.
Yeah, we'll call that garbage too.
The other Justice League,
garbage.
Number 3.
I am weak. Listen, best DCEU movies: Wonder Woman, Shazam. We gotta have a top 3. What's the Suicide Squad 2021? No. It's not even out yet. I guess there's not a top 3. I would say Man of Steel, but I know you don't.
It would probably
like that
be
movie.
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Like I said, it was fine. I don't think Aquaman is bad. I just don't understand how everybody's like, oh,
It's not.
it's great.
It's definitely the bottom of the best list.
Yeah.
It's the worst of the best.
If we just did ones I like, Batman v Superman would probably be 3 for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not good. I know that. I know this, but I love it.
I am weak.
You always got something to say.
But yeah, that sideline. But what I was bringing up with animation is like, there's literally so much more you can do than with live. Because with live action, you can do CGI. It doesn't always look great.
Guess what CGI is? Animation.
But I feel like it's harder with CGI because you have to bring that animation into the real world. Real. Yeah, but with animated animation, I guess that's the best way to separate it. It's already there, so you can pretty much do.
You just
it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not like real. You don't have to like.
You can make it.
Yeah, you can do anything you want, as big as you want, as small as you want. You can do whatever. So I agree. It is a superior medium.
Like if you're gonna do a drama, okay, whatever. Go get a camera and shoot people crying, whatever. But if you're gonna do something awesome and epic, draw that. Y'all done got my blood pressure up. I'm fixing to whoop somebody.
It's gonna be smoke in the city.
And another thing.
Since we're talking about it,
King Kong ain't got.
Speaking of which,
next week, Kong
versus
Godzilla. I think I flipped it.
I think it's Godzilla versus Kong. It sounds like rolls off the tongue
but
a little
we
bit.
know who's gonna win this.
I'm mad. Have y'all seen?
King Kong.
Have y'all seen Mechagodzilla?
It's rough
in this movie. I would say spoilers, but it's out there already.
It's in the trailer. Funko spoiled it.
It looks so bad. It looks like a stick figure of Godzilla. Tell me I'm wrong. Look it up right now. If you're listening, look it up. Tell me.
This is the Funko. The Funko looks great.
Let me see the Funko. Slowest computer in the world. Okay, the Funko looks good, but Funko's... if you look at, like, action figures or, like, pictures of it, because those are more, like, scaled images, it looks like a stick figure of Godzilla.
Check this out.
Let me see.
This looks a little bit better. That might be fan art, though.
I think that it's, like, just
that looks more like a Pacific Rim Jaeger.
Yeah, just go with the original design. Like...
I don't think it should be the original.
Not like original, but like
this universe, because the original was created by aliens.
It should be inspired.
And I think this is supposed to be made by people. Look at that's what? That can't be real. Those are his fingers.
Oh, that's fingers.
We're looking at pictures.
Yeah.
You don't get to see them.
Mechagodzilla will be the picture throughout the the podcast. You can look. You'll be real confused by that when you.
I thought they were talking about Invincible. What is this?
But yeah, like have it.
We can talk about this after the movie.
Yeah, all right.
Because we don't know for sure what it looks like. All we're going off of is leaks and.
But
toys.
I mean, the toys are usually accurate.
Not all the time though, because a lot of times they're going off of concept art.
True, but we'll see.
I'll
rant about it
when we
next.
Get the greatest film of 2021.
I don't know. I think the original.
Maybe
was
I
better.
shouldn't have my hopes up like this again.
No, my man has PTSD from Wonder Woman 84.
Oh,
it looks good.
It does.
I think,
look
and
good.
based off of previous movies in this franchise, I think that we can expect this movie to be good. I think it's okay for us to have our hopes up a little bit. I'll be sad if it is another Wonder Woman 84 and Snyder cut of Justice League.
Be pretty good.
But that'll be
I mean,
our.
it's Godzilla.
I was gonna
King
say you.
Kong. But yeah, so that we'll be covering that next week. It comes
Yeah.
out next Wednesday. If you got HBO Max, it's available to be streamed without additional charge. So get HBO Max. In a couple of weeks, we'll be doing Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
After that releases, maybe I'll make Reese watch the bad ones.
I've seen. Which ones have I seen?
We watched the first one
I know I've seen
together.
the first one.
I don't think you saw the second one.
What was the second one?
Shao Kahn comes from Outworld and it's terrible.
I don't think I saw that one.
Sindel, it's not good.
I'd have to see it again to see if I've seen it before.
It's no very good.
We have to.
I'm
I'm not.
I'm not. No, I'll watch them again. I like them. I have fun with them. They're bad, but I don't care.
We'll see.
I can like bad stuff, guys.
He likes himself. No. All right, and with that,
No, don't cut it.
No, don't cut the camera.
I'm trying to hear this. You mother. Okay, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Hope you come back next week for our Godzilla vs. King Kong episode. All our social media is linked below, whether you're listening on Anchor, which might be down again.
Throwing shade at Anchor, dog.
But YouTube has never let us down. So if you're listening on YouTube, you're doing all right.
Leave a like. Make sure to subscribe.
Yeah, follow us on all the socials. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on Anchor or wherever else it's available at through Anchor's partner sites. We thank you. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time.
Peace.